We had started with heat exchangers. What are heat exchangers? Why do we need a heat exchanger? We talked about different classifications of heat exchangers. So heat exchangers were classified on the basis of nature of heat exchange process. So this classification was made as direct contact, indirect contact. Under direct contact, we saw the example of cooling tower. We had regenerators and recuperators in indirect contact. We saw what regenerators are. We saw two different cases, fixed bed and rotary type. Second, we had recuperators. Uh, Heat exchangers were classified on the basis of direction of fluid motion. So parallel flow, counter flow, cross flow. On the basis of design, they were classified as concentric tubes, shell and tube, multiple shell and tube passes. So we saw these cases with different animations. The last classification was on the basis of physical states of fluids. So they were classified as condensers and evaporators. We went for analysis of heat exchangers. The analysis was supposed to be done by two methods. First is LMTD method, also logarithmic mean temperature difference method. And the second one is effectiveness NTU method. LMTD method was seen for two different cases, for parallel flow arrangement and for counter flow arrangement. For both the cases, we saw that this LMTD value is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1 by ln theta 2 by theta 1. But the values of theta 2 and theta 1, these were different for both the cases. So this derivation was done for parallel flow and counter flow. We saw two numericals related to the topic, related to LMTD. In the second numerical, we saw a special case. A special case was that when theta 1 is equal to theta 2, for counter flow heat exchanger, we take theta m value equal to theta 1 or theta 2. We also saw that for a counter flow arrangement, LMTD value is always greater, and hence area requirement for counter flow heat exchanger that will be lower. So counter flow arrangement is preferred over parallel flow arrangement. We talked about condensation, evaporation, and both the phenomena occurring together in a heat exchanger. We saw that whenever condensation or evaporation will be taking place, the LMTD value will be same for parallel flow and counter flow heat exchangers. This is the picture of data handbook. So if you will open the data handbook, are you people having the data handbooks with you? Yes, no?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Those who have data handbooks at home, try to keep data handbooks with you because we will be referring to the data handbooks again and again in today's class. So we have heat exchangers. When you will go to the page of heat exchangers, this is the first relation which is given. The relation is for Q, and Q is given by UA delta T Lm. Delta T Lm is nothing but theta m, logarithmic mean temperature difference. So they have given logarithmic mean temperature difference for parallel flow heat exchanger. They have given LMTD for counter flow heat exchanger. For them, this capital T is temperature for the hot fluid. T1 is inlet temperature, T2 is outlet temperature, or here they have written as entry and exit temperatures. Small t is the representation for cold fluid. So small t1 is the inlet temperature, small t2 is the outlet temperature. Uh, these temperatures we had written as TH1, TH2, TC1 and TC2. If you will go ahead, here one relation for NTU has been given. So if you will come to this side on the notation hand side, here they have written that NTU is number of transfer units, and this number of transfer units is equal to AU by C min, or what we wrote as U multiplied by A divided by C min. This is the definition for NTU. This everyone must know. NTU, they are writing as capital NTU over here. If I'll go to the next page of data handbook, I might have added at the end. So this is the next page of data handbook. Here they are writing different relations for NTU. First is NTU for a parallel flow heat exchanger, NTU for a counter flow heat exchanger. These relations have been given in terms of effectiveness. Also, in the data handbook, you can find relations for effectiveness separately. So I'll just open the data handbook for you people. This is the data handbook. First, we have the relation for LMTD, relations for LMTD. If you will come down, here we have relation for effectiveness. This page says that these are the heat exchanger relations for effectiveness. The first relation is for parallel flow heat exchanger. So here effectiveness is given by 1 minus exponential minus NTU multiplied by 1 plus C. This C is capacity ratio and is given by Cmin by Cmax. We had written C as capital R. Capital R was the notation for capacity ratio and is given by Cmin by Cmax. The second relation is for counterflow arrangement. So effectiveness for a counterflow arrangement is given by this particular formula. So these two relations will be very important when we are solving the numericals. I'll just go back to the PPT. So we saw that what is effectiveness, what is NTU for a heat exchanger, and we derived the effectiveness relation for a parallel flow heat exchanger. We saw that for a parallel flow heat exchanger, effectiveness is given by 1 minus exponential of minus NTU whole multiplied by 1 plus capacity ratio divided by 1 plus capacity ratio. This derivation was for parallel flow heat exchanger. We have not done the derivation for counter flow heat exchanger till now. So what I will be doing, we are not going to do that in the online class because the steps will be very similar to parallel flow derivation. I'll be sharing this portion in the PPT. The PPT will be shared today. The completed PPT will be shared today. You need to go through the derivation of counter flow heat exchanger, effectiveness relation for counter flow heat exchanger. If any doubt will be there in that part, you need to revert back to me. So today we will be solving numericals related to the same topics. Here we have the first numerical. Can we start with the numericals? Yes, no? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have the first numerical. Here the data says that the following data relates parallel flow heat exchanger. It is related to parallel flow heat exchanger. It means the type of heat exchanger which we are using, that is parallel flow, in which air is heated by hot exhaust gases. So what is the cold fluid for us? Air or exhaust gases?
Air.
Air.
Okay. So this
Yes, sir.
air is the cold fluid, and these exhaust gases over here, these will be the hot fluids for us. Okay. We will see what data has been given. They are giving you heat transferred per unit hour. So what is this value for? What is the notation for this value? Anyone?
Q, sir.
Okay, this is Q value. And what is the unit for that Q value? What is the unit for this Q value?
Kilojoule per
What,
hour.
sir?
Good. The unit will be kilojoule per hour. And what is the SI unit for heat value?
Kilojoules per second.
Per second.
What?
Not kilojoules per second. It will be joules per second. So wherever you will be using the Q term, you need to convert this in joules per second. So you need to multiply this by 1000 to convert kilojoules in joules, and you need to divide by 3600 to convert hour in seconds. Is that part clear to all? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. Now, in the later part, what they are saying that inside heat transfer coefficient is this much, outside heat transfer coefficient is this much. So they are not giving you the capital U value directly. What they are doing, they are giving you H1 value and they are giving you H2 value. So in today's class, we will also learn how to find out overall heat transfer coefficient for a heat exchanger. Uh, so we will leave this part for now. We are not going to talk about this H1, H2 values for now. We will see what is the other part of the data given. So they are saying that inlet and outlet temperatures of hot fluid, which is exhaust gas for us. So inlet and outlet temperature for exhaust gases. that has been given as 450 degrees Celsius and 250 degrees Celsius. So can we say that TH1 value has been given and TH2 value has been given? Yes, no?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Okay. In the later part of the question, they are giving you uh, inlet and outlet temperature of the cold fluid. So we have TC1 value with us, we have TC2 value with us. They are giving you inside and outside diameters of the tube. So we will see what is the requirement of this inside diameter and outside diameter of the tube. So inside and outside diameter of the tube, that is equal to 50 millimeters and 60 millimeters respectively. So 50 is the inside diameter and 60 millimeters is the outside diameter. What we have to do, we have to find the length of the tube which is required for heat transfer in this particular case. We will see how to solve the question. So first of all, we will see what relations we have for heat transfer. Heat transfer value has been given to us directly. Heat transfer value that is equal to 155 450 multiplied by 1000 divided by 3600. This is the value for heat transfer which has been given to us. And this unit will be kilowatts. Sorry, this unit will be watts. Unit will be joules per second. Now, this rate of heat transfer can also be given by U multiplied by A multiplied by theta m, where theta m is LMTD value. Can we find out the logarithmic mean temperature difference? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, U is overall heat transfer coefficient value, which has not been given to us in the question. And this area is the area which is available for heat transfer. So area can be written as pi dl, and heat transfer will be taking place from the outer surface of the pipe. So we will be writing pi multiplied by d naught multiplied by L. I'll just draw a pictorial representation of the heat exchanger which we are using in this particular case. So say this is the side view of the heat exchanger. We have two different pipes. The pipes are looking something like this. In the inside pipe, one of the fluids will be flowing. In the pipe outside, some other fluid is flowing. What kind of heat exchanger was given? Parallel flow or counter flow?
Parallel.
Parallel flow. It means the outside flow will also be in the same direction. Outside flow will also be in the same direction. If I will be drawing the front view of the same, so it is going to look something like this. We have the inside pipe and we have the pipe which is outside. Now, this pipe which is inside, it has got some inside diameter and it has got some outside diameter. So we have a solid pipe over here. This is a solid pipe. Inside this pipe, some fluid is flowing, and outside the pipe also some fluid is flowing. Uh, Now, if I'm talking about the resistances which are available for heat transfer over here from this fluid, I'll just change the color of the ink. So if I'm talking about the number of resistances which are available for heat transfer from fluid 1 to fluid 2, so there will be three resistances. First one will be convective resistance for the first fluid. Second one is conductive resistance for the pipe material, and the third is again convective resistance for the second fluid. Is that part clear to all? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this case, if I want to write down the formula for Q, so Q will be equal to delta T, which is the temperature difference, divided by total resistance. So first resistance value can be written as 1 by H1A. H1A1, because this will be area of the inside portion of the tube. I'm writing that as A1. Plus, I'll write the second resistance as resistance due to conduction. And the third resistance as 1 divided by H2 multiplied by A2. Can we say that this is the relation for heat transfer? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, Also, this rate of heat transfer is given by U multiplied by area multiplied by theta m. So U multiplied by A multiplied by theta m value. This delta T is nothing but theta m only. So here also I can write theta m. Theta m and theta m gets cancelled out. This theta m portion gets cancelled out. Okay, now which area are we talking about? Are you talking about the first area or the second area? You will be talking about first area or second area, from where this heat transfer is taking place, from the inside portion or the outside portion?
Inside portion.
Yes, sir.
Inside portion. Okay, if you are considering the inside area, then this heat transfer, overall heat transfer coefficient will be found out with respect to the inside area. If you are considering this as the outside area, this heat transfer coefficient will be found out with respect to the outside area. It totally depends upon you which area are you going to consider. So in the solution, they have considered the outside area, not the inside area. I'll just go back to the case. So here you can see that they are writing this relation as Q is equal to UA theta M, and this area value they are taking as pi multiplied by D naught multiplied by L. D naught is the outside diameter of the pipe. It is not the inside diameter. So they are considering that heat exchange is taking place from the outside area, and using that area only they will find out the length of the heat exchanger. If you want, you can consider the inside area as well. For the inside area, this U value will be different. For the outside area, the U value will be different. Are you getting my point? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go back to the screen. We had inside pipe. It had some inside diameter and outside diameter. This is solid. It is covered by one more pipe. Three resistances were there. So since there are three resistances, Q value was given as uh, theta m divided by 1 by H1A1 plus resistance due to conduction, so R conduction, plus convective resistance on the outer side due to the outer fluid, so 1 by H2A2. This is what we are going to write. This whole thing is equal to U multiplied by A multiplied by theta m. So consider this area is A2. Consider this area is the outer area multiplied by theta m. So this theta m gets cancelled out. And here what we can say that take reciprocal on both the sides. If you will take reciprocal on both the sides, we can write that 1 by U multiplied by A2. This value is equal to 1 by H1A1 plus R conductive plus 1 by H2A2. Any doubt till this part? Anyone? Guys, any doubt till this part?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now our aim is to find out overall heat transfer coefficient for now. So if you want to find out the overall heat transfer coefficient, what we can do, can we multiply by this A2 on both the sides? Just remove this A2 from here and multiply A2 on the other side of the equation. So when we will do that, here this value will become 1 multiplied by A2 divided by H1A1. Here also this thing multiplied by A2, and here also this thing multiplied by A2. When we are doing this, A2 and A2 terms will get cancelled out over here, and what we get is this U value is equal to 1 by H1 multiplied by A2 by A1. Can anyone tell me what is A2 value? What will be area for heat
Sir,
transfer?
is it 1 by?
Sorry?
Sir, U is the reciprocal, no, sir?
Yeah, it is the reciprocal. It is 1 by U only.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir.
Can anyone tell me what is A2 value equal to? What is this A2 equal to? What is the area which is available for heat transfer?
Pi d L only, sir.
How much? Again.
Pi dl.
Pi dl answer.
Pi dl, or we can also write that as 2 pi rl. Anything is fine. So I can write this as 2 pi r2l. 2 pi r2l, and this a1 value will be equal to 2 pi r1l. 2 pi r1l plus a2 multiplied by r conduction. A2 multiplied by r conduction plus 1 by h2. Can we write like this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When we will do this, see what happens. This 2 pi is gone. Here also 2 pi is gone. L is gone, and here also L is gone. Now, say that this pipe material is highly conductive in nature, which it will be. So if the pipe material is highly conductive in nature, what we can do, we can neglect the resistance which is going to occur due to the pipe material. So we can neglect this particular resistance value. R conduction will be gone. So we can say that this 1 by U value will be equal to 1 by H1 multiplied by R2 by R1. I'll just write R1 over there. So multiplied by R2 by R1 plus 1 by H2. This will be the overall heat transfer coefficient value. Any doubt in this part? Yes, no?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Fine. Now I'll just show you a page of the data handbook. Just keep the data handbooks with you. In the data handbook, if you will keep on turning the page, on one of the pages you will find this relation. The relation will say expression for overall heat transfer coefficients, and this overall heat transfer coefficient value has been given for two sides. First one is for the inside portion and second one is for the outside portion. Sorry, U0 is for outside surface and UI is for the inside surface. Those who have the data handbooks with them see the relation. Those who don't have can see here on the screen. Is the relation clear to all? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we will see what are the different terms over here which we are having. So we were finding 1 by U0 value. This 1 by U0 is equal to 1 by H0. 1 by H0, H0 is the H2 value. It is the heat transfer coefficient of the fluid to the outside. O is the notation for outside. I is the notation for inside. So 1 by U0 is equal to 1 by H0 plus R FC0. This is something called as fouling factor. This we are not going to discuss for now. So neglect this portion, avoid this portion. Don't care on that portion. Consider that as 0. We are going to talk about that term later. Maybe not today. Okay, plus R0 multiplied by K multiplied by ln R0 by Ri. So this is the resistance due to conduction part, which we have neglected for our question. Again plus R0 by Ri multiplied by some fouling factor. This term we don't have to see for now. Neglect that portion. Plus R0 by Ri multiplied by 1 by Hi. Hi is the heat transfer coefficient for the fluid which is to the inside. So if we are talking about the overall heat transfer coefficient for our case, if you are finding out overall heat transfer coefficient for the outer area, so we can write that 1 by U0 value is equal to 1 by H0 plus, neglecting the other factors, it will be R0 by Ri multiplied by 1 by Hi. This will be the value for overall heat transfer coefficient. I'll go to the question. We'll see what they have done. So here they have written the relation for 1 by U. 1 by U has been written as R0 by Ri multiplied by 1 by Hi plus 1 by H0. Was it the relation which we were getting for our case also? Yes, no? Were we getting the same relation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we have all the values with us. We have the heat transfer coefficient values on both the sides. So they are saying that inside heat transfer coefficient is this much. So this is the Hi value. Outside heat transfer coefficient is this much. So this is the H0 value. We have Hi with us, we have H0 with us. R naught Ri value can be determined because the diameter values are given. So R naught and Ri values will be 25 and 30. Using this, we can find out the overall heat transfer coefficient. Now, this heat transfer rate was already given. Heat transfer rate is equal to UA theta m. Theta m we can determine for parallel flow heat exchanger. So for parallel flow heat exchanger, this theta m is theta 1 minus theta 2 by ln theta 1 by theta 2. For parallel flow, theta 1 is Th1 minus Tc1. Theta 2 is Ts2 minus Tc2. Substitute the values of theta 1, theta 2. All the temperature values are given to you. So we can find out the logarithmic mean temperature difference. So we have Q value with us. We have capital U value with us. And we have theta m value with us. Now note that this area will be the same area for which overall heat transfer coefficient was determined. So here we have determined the overall heat transfer coefficient for the outer area. So make sure that this area term is also the outer area. If you will use the formula 1 by ui, in that case this area term should be equal to ai. It should not be a naught. Are you people getting this thing? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So since we have found out the overall heat transfer coefficient for the outer area, here we are going to take this area value as the outer area, and this area is equal to pi multiplied by d naught multiplied by L, where d naught is the outer diameter of the pipe. Now in the equation, U value is known, Q value is known, pi is 3.14, d naught is given in the question, theta m we have determined. So length of the tube is the only unknown. Here this length of the tube is the only unknown. In the question, they wanted us to find out the length of the tube. So length of the tube is equal to 14.65 meters using this method. Also, you can see in the question that they had mentioned over here that neglect the tube resistance. Neglect the tube resistance. It means we don't have to consider the conduction resistance. That's why we had neglected this part. That's why we were neglecting this part, ln R naught by Ri. And this is something called as fouling. We will see what fouling is later in the subject. Maybe in some other class, we will see what fouling is. So for now, you can neglect this portion. Any doubt in the numerical? Anyone? Guys, anyone?
No doubt.
Okay, fine. We'll move to the next numerical. Okay, first thing, this numerical was on the basis of LMPD, and this numerical was given to you because I wanted to teach you how to find out overall heat transfer coefficient. So this was the idea behind this numerical. You had to learn how to find out overall heat transfer coefficient. Not necessary that some H value is given, so any one of them will be the overall heat transfer coefficient for you. This is not the U value. U is equal to 66.09, which is not even closer to these values. So if you are using these values directly for the relation, your solution will be wrong. We'll see the next question. For the next question, what we have flow rates. We have flow rates of hot and cold water. So it means the hot fluid is also water and the cold fluid is also water. Is this part clear to all? Yes, no? Is this part clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have flow rates of hot and cold water, and the flow rates have been given as 0.2 kg per second and 0.5 kgs per second, respectively. It means first is hot. So this is the mh value. mh value is equal to 0.2 and mc value is equal to 0.5. The inlet temperatures of the hot and cold sides are 75 and 20 degrees Celsius. It means these are the values of TH1 and TC1. They are saying that the inlet temperatures of hot and cold sides are 75 and 20. It means these are the inlet temperatures of the hot fluid and the cold fluid. So hot fluid temperature is 75, cold fluid inlet temperature is 20. So TH1 75, TC1 20. It was a parallel flow heat exchanger, so the fluids will be entering from the same side. So here we have marked 75 and here we have marked 20. Now the exit temperature of hot water is 45 degrees Celsius. So this is the TS2 value for us. TS2 is equal to 45 degrees Celsius. Now they have mentioned that individual heat transfer coefficients on both the sides are 650 watt per meter square degree Celsius. So what does it mean? Is it the U value? Is that the U value or H value? Guys, anyone?
H values.
That
H
is
value, sir.
that is H value. What we have a pipe like this. Inside the pipe, some fluid is flowing. So on this side, we will have some HI value, and on the other side, we will have some H naught value. So they are saying that for individual fluids, the individual heat transfer coefficient value is 650. So here HI is also equal to 650 and H naught is also equal to 650. But they have not mentioned the U value. So we have to determine the U value in this case. That we will do later. What they want us to do, they want us to find out the area of the heat exchanger. Okay, we will see what data has been given to us. So mass flow rate of hot water is given. Here we have the mass flow rate of hot water. We have mass flow rate of the cold water. We have inlet and outlet temperature of the hot water. So this TH1 value is given. TS2 value is given. And they have mentioned what is the inlet temperature of cold water. So TC1 value is given. TC2 value is not given in the question. So we have to determine what TC2 is. Then only we can find out LMTD values, because LMTD is theta1 minus theta2 divided by ln theta1 by theta2. Okay. What we know MH value, we know MC value. We have two different relations for heat transfer. So Q is given by MHCH, TH1 minus TH2, and Q is also given by MCCC, TC2 minus TC1. If we will compare these two relations, so here the MH value is known to us. MH is equal to 0.2 kg per second. What is CP for water? Anyone?
4.187, sir.
Okay, so CP is 4.187 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So CPH is known because the hot fluid is water for us. TH1 value is known, TH2 value is known. We are going to equate this heat transfer with this equation. So in this one, mass flow rate of the cold water is known. The fluid is water. So again, CPC value and CPH values will be same and both will be 4.187. Inlet temperature for the cold water is known, but this TC2 value is not known. This we have to determine. So when we will equate these two, the outlet temperature of the cold water, that is the only unknown. So can we find out the outlet temperature? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So using this relation, we have calculated the outlet temperature, and outlet temperature is 32 degrees Celsius. So once we get the outlet temperature, we can find out the value of theta1, we can find out the value of theta2, and we can find out the logarithmic mean temperature difference for our case. Make sure that the heat exchanger type is given. So here the heat exchanger type was parallel flow. Draw the diagram accordingly. This diagram is for parallel flow heat exchanger. If it would be counter flow, the theta1 and theta2 values will be different. Okay, so find theta m for this particular case. We are getting that theta m is equal to 29.12 degrees Celsius. Okay, we have to find out area of the heat exchanger. We will see what has to be done for that case. So for finding area of heat exchanger, what we could do, we can equate Q is equal to UA theta m. Now this heat transfer term can be calculated or was already calculated by MH, CH, TH1 minus TH2 TH1 minus TH2, or the other relation which was MCCC TC2 minus TC1, because all the values here are known. It means rate of heat transfer is known to us. Theta m value we have calculated for parallel flow, so this theta m is known. Area has to be determined. Now we need to talk about this capital U value. What will be the overall heat transfer coefficient? So if we will recall our relation, I'll just go back to that particular page of the data handbook. If we will see this particular relation, so in this case, this 1 by U naught value, that is equal to 1 by H naught. Is the S naught value given to us?
Yes, sir. Individual values will be.
Okay, individual values are given. It means H naught value is given to us. The second term is fouling factor. We are going to neglect that. We are not going to consider the fouling factor. Okay, next one is R naught by K. K is the thermal conductivity of the pipe. Have they given any information about the pipe? Did they give any information about the pipe in the question?
No, sir.
Okay, since no information about the pipe was given, it means we can neglect this resistance due to conduction. This will be very small because thermal conductivity value for pipes in heat exchangers will be very high. If thermal conductivity goes up, it means this term is going to be negligible. So we are going to neglect this particular term. This term is gone. Next term is again fouling factor. We are not going to consider it. See the last term. The last term is R naught by Ri multiplied by 1 by Hi. So you said that individual heat transfer coefficients are given, considered. But have they given you the R naught and Ri values? Have they given you these values?
No, sir.
Okay. Since these values are not given in the question, we will make an assumption. The assumption is the thickness of the pipe is very small. The thickness of the tube in which the fluid is flowing, this thickness is negligible. So since this thickness is negligible, approximately equal to 0, can we say that R naught is equal to Ri? Can we make that assumption?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we will make that assumption, the formula here will become 1 by capital U is equal to 1 by H naught plus 1 by Hi. Can we write like this? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So same relation has been used over here. Here for determining this overall heat transfer coefficient, we are using the relation 1 by Hi plus 1 by H naught. And they are substituting the values of H. Both the H values were 1 by 650. Sorry, both the H values were 650 watt per meter square degree Celsius. Putting the values, we get that this capital U, the overall heat transfer coefficient for our case, this is equal to 325. I think no doubt till this part. Now, Q is equal to UA theta M. Q value was calculated. U value we just calculated as 325. Theta M value was determined earlier. So putting all the values in the relation, we can find the value of area. And for this case, area is equal to 2.66 meters square. Any doubt in the solution? Anyone?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Fine. I think we have two more questions to discuss today. So these two questions were related to LMTD. The next questions will be related to NTU effectiveness method. Though we have not done the derivation for counterflow heat exchanger, the formula will be given in the data handbook. So you can see the direct formula from the data handbook, and using that we will solve the questions, even if the question is from counterflow. So here this is the question. The question says that we have a counterflow heat exchanger. Note the type of the heat exchanger. The heat exchanger says that the question says that it is a counterflow heat exchanger. It is employed to cool 0.55 kg per second of oil. So this oil is being cooled. So which kind of fluid is it? Hot fluid or the cold fluid?
Hot fluid.
Hot fluid. because it is being cooled, hence it will be the hot fluid for us. So it is employed to cool 0.55 kg per second. So that is the mh value. Mh value is equal to 0.55 kg per second. Cp for that particular oil is given. So Cph value or Ch value, a small ch value, that is equal to 2.45 kilojoule per kg degree Celsius, or you could also write 2.45 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Both are same. From 115 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. It means TH1 value is 115 and TH2 value is 40 degrees Celsius. Okay. The inlet and outlet temperatures of cooling water are 15 and 75. So they have given you TC1 value, they have given you TC2 value. What they want you to do, they want you to find out mass flow rate of water, effectiveness of the heat exchanger, and surface area required. But they want you to do this using NTU method. So we will see where this NTU method will be involved and how we can solve the question without using the NTU method if this portion is not written in the question. The data they have given that overall heat transfer coefficient is 1450. So this is not individual value of H. Here they have directly given you the U value. Is the question clear to all? Is the given data clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will see how to approach the solution. First part of the question says that find the mass flow rate of water. So as usual, we will see what are the different equations for heat transfer. Heat transfer is given by MHCH, TH1 minus TS2, TH1 minus TS2. Same is equal to MC, CC, TC2 minus TC1. These are the two formulae for heat transfer which we have. We also know that this rate of heat transfer is equal to UA theta M. Now, what values are known over here? Here, mH is the mass flow rate of the oil. So, mass flow rate of oil is given as 0.55. CH is specific heat of oil, which is given as 2.45. Inlet and outlet temperatures of oil are given. So, we can find out rate of heat transfer using this formula. Yes or no?
Yes.
Can we find out the rate of heat transfer? Okay. Same thing is equal to MC. MC means it is the mass flow rate of cold water. This is the data which we have to determine. That is the first part of the question. This thing has to be determined. Multiplied by CC, multiplied by TC2 minus TC1. This will be TC1. So multiplied by TC2 minus TC1. So outlet temperature and inlet temperature for water has also been given. And do we know the CC value? Has it been mentioned in the question? Have they given you a specific heat of water? Yes or no?
No water, no, sir.
Okay, it is not given, but we know the value. And what is the value? 4.187. Yes or
7.
no? Okay. So we are going to use that CC value. So in this particular equation, when we will equate these two for the rates of heat transfer, MC is the only unknown. So we can find out the mass flow rate of the cold fluid, or we can find the mass flow rate of water over there. Is that part clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
here they have done the same thing. You can see that MHCH, TH1 minus TH2, that is equal to MCCC, TC2 minus TC1. MH value is given to you. CH value is given to you. Inlet outlet temperature of hot water is given. MC value has to be determined. CC value we have taken as 4.18. You need to take 4.187. Take the entire value. TC2, TC1 value is given in the question. MC was the only unknown. So we have found out the mass flow rate of water. Then the question says, find the effectiveness of the heat exchanger. So anyone who can tell me what is the formula for effectiveness for heat exchanger? What is epsilon equal to?
Q by Q max, sir.
Okay, this is Q actual by Q max. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
and
sir.
what is Q max equal to? What is the formula for Q max? When do we get the maximum rate of heat transfer?
QA theta m, sir.
No, that is Q actual only. What is the condition for maximum rate of heat transfer? Okay, maximum rate of heat transfer, will it be for maximum temperature difference? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What is the maximum temperature difference which we can get?
TH1, sir.
TH1 is a single temperature. I am talking about temperature difference. What is
TH1 minus TC1, sir.
good? TH1 minus TC1. The hot water which is entering, for that the temperature can drop up till TC1. The cold water which is entering, for that the temperature can rise up till TH1. So TH1 minus TC1 is the maximum temperature difference possible, multiplied by one heat capacity. Which heat capacity should I use? CH or CC? Should I use the maximum of those two or minimum of those two?
Minimum, sir.
Minimum. We took the example of exchange of money. One can give 1000 rupees, one can take 800 rupees. So the maximum exchange possible will be 800 rupees only, because the other fellow cannot take more than 800 rupees.
Yes, sir.
So this can be written as Q max can be written as C min multiplied by TH1 minus TC1. This we discussed when we were talking about effectiveness. Now, what data do we have? We will try to find out CH and CC values. So this capital CC is equal to MC into CC, small cc. Capital CH is MH multiplied by small ch. When we find out these two values, we see that this capital CC is, here the unit is wrong. We see that this capital CC is 1.672 kilowatt per Kelvin. Capital CH is 1.347 kilowatt per Kelvin. So what is the minimum among these two? 1.6 or 1.3?
1.3, sir.
0.3.
1.3. So for this case, we can say that C minimum is equal to, just a minute. For this case, we can say that C minimum is equal to 1.347 and C maximum is equal to 1.672. Any doubt till this part? Anyone? Okay.
No, sir.
Now, when you will go to find out this maximum rate of heat transfer, the maximum rate of heat transfer will be given by TH1 minus TC1 multiplied by C min. So instead of C min, what should I write? CH or CC? CH, because CH is C minimum value. On the numerator side, we have to write actual rate of heat transfer. So for actual rate of heat transfer, we have two formulae. One is CH TH1 minus TH2. The other one is CC TC2 minus TC1. Here we have used CH multiplied by TH1 minus TH2. So what happens to the CH portion? Will it get cancelled out?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So everything gets cancelled out. The CH value gets cancelled out, and we get that effectiveness for this particular case. This will be TH1 minus TH2 divided by TH1 minus TC1. We have all the temperature values. We have TH1, we have TH2, we have TH1, we have TC1. So can we find out the effectiveness for this case? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we get that,
Yes, sir.
we get that effectiveness is equal to 0.75 for the given relation. Okay. The next part of the question says, till now there was no use of this effectiveness NTU method, but this will be required for the last part. The next part of the question says, find the surface area required. So in order to find the surface area required, till now we were using a method, and that method was LMTD method. What we were doing, we were saying that this Q value Q is equal to U multiplied by A multiplied by theta M. Now tell me, for this case, do we have this Q value with us? Have we determined the Q value, or can we determine the Q value by any other relation? Yes,
Yes,
no?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. We can find the Q
Yes,
value
sir.
because we have MH, CH, we have
CPH1,
TH1,
TH1,
TH2.
TH2.
Okay, so this Q value can be determined. They have given us the U value to us. They have given us the U value. So U is equal to 1450 watt per meter square degree Celsius. Theta M, what kind of heat exchanger is it?
Counterflow.
Counterflow.
Counterflow. So what we will do, we will draw a diagram for counterflow. Hot fluid is entering from this side, leaving from that side. Cold fluid is entering from this side, leaving on that side. Here, inlet for hot fluid.
Sir,
Yes, yes, yes.
for NTU method, why do we need theta M?
This is not the NTU method. This is the LMTD method. I am saying that we can solve the question using this method, but we need to use NTU method. Till now, I
Okay.
have not discussed the NTU method.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So TH1 value that is equal to 115. TH2 value that is 40. Similarly, for cold water is entering from this side. Here it is 15, and here it is 75. We can draw a diagram like this. We can find out theta 1 value, which is 40 degrees Celsius. We can find out theta 2 value, which is 25 degrees Celsius. So since theta 1 and theta 2 are known, can we find out logarithmic mean temperature difference? Yes or no? Can we find out theta M for this case?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if we find out theta M for this case, then in this equation area is the only unknown. So for finding out the area, one of the methods was LMTD method. We could use this method and we could find out the area. But we could use it only if in the question nothing like this was mentioned. In the question they are saying that find the area using NTU method. So we cannot use LMTD method to solve this question. Is that part clear to all? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what we are going to do, we are going to use NTU method to solve this question. Now, according to NTU method, we are going to use the expression for effectiveness and NTU. Here we got that effectiveness is equal to 0.75. So I'll just move to the next slide. Again, I have rewritten the same thing, that NTU is equal to 0.75. This is the, effectiveness is equal to 0.75 for our case. Now, if you will see a relation for counterflow heat exchanger, this is the relation which we get. The relation has been given in the data handbooks also. You can go for effectiveness relation for counterflow heat exchanger, and you will find that effectiveness is equal to 1 minus exponential of minus NTU whole multiplied by 1 minus R divided by 1 minus R exponential of minus NTU 1 minus R. This is the relation for counterflow heat exchanger. Now, here R is called as capacity ratio. Capacity ratio is defined as Cmin by Cmax. So if you will recall, Cmin value was equal to Ch, which is 1.347. Cmax was equal to Cc, which is 1.672. So R value is equal to 0.806. For your data handbooks, this term has been given by capital C. And this NTU has been given by capital N. So you can take the values accordingly. If I'll put everything in this particular relation, here what we get, epsilon is known. Epsilon is equal to 0.75. This we have already calculated. R value we are getting as 0.806. Here also R is 0.806. R is 0.806. But this NTU value, NTU is equal to UA by Cmin. NTU is equal to U multiplied by area divided by C minimum. So here for finding NTU, what we have C minimum with us. C minimum was equal to 1.3. Capital U value was given in the question, but this area value is not known. It means in this equation, NTU is unknown. So can we find the value of NTU using this equation? Because NTU is the only unknown. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So what we have done,
Yes,
we have
sir.
determined the value of NTU from this equation, and we are getting NTU is equal to 2.365. No unit will be there. This NTU is a dimensionless number. We are equating that NTU with UA by C min. So 2.365 is equal to UA divided by C minimum. Here C, make sure that you are converting this C minimum in SI form. Everything should be in the SI form. So in order to convert that kilowatt per Kelvin in watts per Kelvin, they have multiplied with 1000. Capital U was already given in SI form. So this area is the only unknown in the equation. So we can find the value of area from this particular equation, and area value is 2.197 meters square. Any doubt in the solution? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, once I will be sharing the PPT with you, what I want you to do, solve this question by using NTU method. Also solve the question by LMTD method and see if there is any difference in the solution, if there is any difference in the final answer. If any difference will be there, you need to let me know. Clear to all? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll take 5 more minutes and we will be discussing the last question for today. This question is also related to NTU. Should we carry on? Yes, no? Can we
No,
continue?
sir. It's too much.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir, it's okay.
I'll be discussing this question in the next class. Next class, we will discuss some other questions as well. And I'll be sharing this much with you people today. This much of the PPT will be shared with you. In the PPT, I will also add the effectiveness derivation for counterflow heat exchanger. So you need to go through the numericals and you need to go through this particular derivation. And if any doubt will be there, you need to revert back. Fine for all? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.